It can happen to even high-performing teams. Sometimes negativity can creep into an organization and it can cause problems. I'm sure as either a coworker or as a leader, you've seen it happen. One person starts expressing negativity, starts sidebarring with individuals, and all of a sudden there's this chill in the air, like a cold front has come through, and your entire organization is starting to wonder whether or not we're on the right track, whether or not leadership is making good decisions, whether or not everybody's pulling their own weight. Negativity can be expressed in a lot of different ways, but there's one thing that's in common. Leadership has the responsibility to nip negativity in the bud and get everybody back on track to a positive outcome. If you're new here, my name is Kathy. This is Motivation Code. Motivation Code is an assessment that helps you better understand yourself, your team, your organization, so you can better understand how people find fulfillment in the work that they do. When you better understand how people are motivated, you can better lead them towards a positive outcome of any project. What happens when you start detecting that negativity is creeping in to your team? As a leader, you might not immediately notice that negativity is creeping in, but there will be signs. Your team is not necessarily being forthright with you. Everybody is sort of glancing over the surface, or maybe there's just an outspoken person who comes to you and say, hey, look, Jane is bringing the whole team down. I'm sorry, Jane, I'm just going to use you as an example. Jane is expressing negativity. She's just doubting that everybody is pulling their weight. She's even wondering whether or not leadership knows what they're doing, and she's letting everyone know. It's really making it hard for us all to do our jobs. If you have someone on your team that comes to you with information that you're not seeing, thank them, because it's very important for leadership to act swiftly when you start seeing that negativity is affecting your team. The faster you can act, the faster you can get your team back on track towards a positive outcome. Now, there will be some times that you'll have a negative employee that keeps saying negative things. It's up to you as a leader to determine whether or not the psychological safety and productivity, the fulfillment of everyone on your team hangs in the balance. Sometimes a negative employee just needs to be let go, but it's better if you can find ways to work things out. Either way, you're going to have to act swiftly and determine what's going on. One thing to avoid is creating a narrative about a person or allowing other people on your team to create a narrative about a person. Now, we as humans, we are pattern-seeking individuals. We see something happen once, twice, 3 times, and all of a sudden someone has a character trait. Everyone has the opportunity to change, to move, to become more positive somehow. And as a leader, when you have good relationships with the people on your team, you are in the position to help guide them towards a more positive attitude. Make sure that the people on your team are not creating a narrative around someone and saying that they have certain characteristics or certain traits that can never be changed. They're just always a negative person. See if there's opportunity for change. Along those lines, it's also important that you separate the person from the behavior. When you're having a conversation with someone and you're talking to them about them being negative, talk about the negative behavior rather than negativity as a person. In this way, you give them the freedom to change. The behavior gets to be dropped rather than the person. Of course, if you're going to have these kinds of conversations with your people, your relationships and your ties with them are critically important. Your job as a leader is to develop relationships. You are the guide, the coach that helps them find greater productivity, helps them find greater fulfillment. Sometimes using an assessment like Motivation Code can help. Perhaps one of your team members is feeling negativity because they feel unfulfilled in the role that they're currently in. I had a position like that at one time. I was highly technical and in a highly technical position, and I was moved into another very highly technical position that did not use any of my motivational dimensions. I was an operations manager managing 50 servers. It was not a good place for me. It was something I could do, but I felt completely unfulfilled and demotivated. They saw me as a very competent technical person and thought that a very responsible, highly technical role would be perfect for me. In that situation, MotivationCode would have helped a lot to keep me fulfilled because they would have seen that I was being moved into a position where my connections with people as a visionary and an influencer, my communication skills were not being used at all. So you could have something like that happening. Leaders need to be connected and develop relationships with their people, especially their high performers. If your high performers are starting to express negative thoughts, negative opinions, or just not in the game, there's something off. Maybe you don't have a negative person on your team. Maybe they're just not in the right role and it's being expressed as negativity. In this way, developing a relationship and knowing your people can help you as a leader guide them into a position where they are being fulfilled. In this way, negativity automatically starts to go away. Now, if you're starting to see negativity in a team member, the best thing to do is not to accuse them of being negative. Instead, start asking questions. Open up a dialogue. Express to them how it makes you feel as a leader when they've said certain things. In so doing, you are taking responsibility for how you feel in that situation, and then the conversation can be about you and your feelings, and maybe how you are misinterpreting what that person was trying to say. Maybe their negativity was actually constructive criticism that could be used towards making a project more successful. You don't know if you don't ask. Another question that you can ask an individual is, how can you as a leader, or how can the organization do better? In this way, instead of it being a negative judgment on what has happened or what they perceive might be happening, they can give you constructive feedback that can be turned into positive action that actually meets the needs of that individual. It's very important for leaders, of course, to define expectations. If you see a behavior that you don't like, the key is to talk about that behavior, of course, and separate that behavior from the individual. We never want to tie behavior as a definition of who that person is. Define your expectations of what you would like from them. Of course, we don't want people showing up to meetings pretending to be happy and on board if they truly don't believe it. We want to have an actual honest dialogue with our people. If they're sensing something isn't going the right way, you want to hear about it because you can steer the ship in a different direction. If there's a problem with other individuals on the team, you want to know right away so that you can fix it, so that you can get everybody back into a place where they feel positively empowered. Ensuring that your team members feel like your door is always open no matter what they believe is going on is key. Sometimes there are individuals who have a pattern of looking at their environment and doing something that they call sorting by difference. They see the one thing that's standing out. They see the one thing that's wrong, and they're really good at identifying when there is a problem. These people are great proofreaders because they see the words that are spelled wrong. They pop out on the page and they sort by difference, and they see what's wrong, and they can clearly and accurately see that there is a problem. When your expectations are fully defined with them can be a great asset. They're going to find problems and let you know about them before anybody else sees them so that you can take swift action and fix things. Empowering these people to sort by difference because they have a skill at doing so and bring you problems so that you can solve them before anyone else notices them can be incredibly empowering and rewarding to these types of individuals. Make sure that these people know that their skill in finding problems is an asset to the organization. Praise them for being able to bring you problems when they see them. You might have an optimizer on your team. An optimizer is someone who does see when things could go better. They can see when processes can be refined. They are there to help you optimize the performance of a team. But this can come across as constructive criticism. Make sure you set expectations with an optimizer so that their motivational dimension is an asset to the team and that you're going to take swift action when they see something that could be done better. In this way, you're celebrating what an optimizer brings to the organization rather than saying we just don't want to hear about any problems. Now, there can be situations where negativity is just too far gone, and you might have an individual that isn't working out with the rest of the team. In cases like this, it's important to take swift action, but also to very clearly define the behavior. Don't define the person. If you need to exit them from the organization, make sure you're clear about why. Give them every opportunity to be more positive, even if it means sending them to personal development training so that they can better express discontent when it arises. But your job as a leader is a commitment to the entire team, to the cohesiveness and culture of an entire team. If you have one person, no matter who they are in an organization, if they are constantly negative and constantly causing problems for your team, it may be better to just offboard them and make sure that your company's culture is positive, proactive solutions rather than always identifying problems. The culture of your team and the relationships on your team are your responsibility. There is nothing more important than your team's culture and your team's empowerment. You have a vision that you've set out for your team, a purpose. And if one person is bringing everyone down and taking them off of their game, you owe it to your team to find a way to resolve that problem. Motivation Code can help. If you start learning more about what makes people tick, you might find someone like I was in the wrong role, not using the tools and the skills that they have to their greatest fulfillment. In this way, you can take a high performer and put them in a place where they knock it out of the park. This, in and of itself, can help solve negativity. I mean, think about it. If someone had you doing a job that made you completely miserable, would you be happy all of the time, or would you have a tinge of negativity as well? Have some compassion for the people on your team who might be expressing negativity. They might just be in the wrong role. This might be a way that you can help them find greater fulfillment. I hope this discussion about negativity didn't bring you down, but rather gave you some things to think about as a leader to bring greater positivity to the people on your team, to better solidify the relationships with the people you lead. If this video has helped you, give us a subscribe, give us a like, drop a comment down below. Let us know how you've dealt with negativity on your team in the past. Thanks for watching.